when you think of a confident person, like someone who communicates with confidence, what's the first thing that comes up for you? Like, what do you notice and say, wow, that person's a confident communicator?
I think two things that really stick out for me. Number one is that they just say it. For example, it might not be fully thought out. It might not be the perfect thing, but maybe they say, you know what, the first thing that comes to mind, or, here are my first thoughts on this. And they can indicate where they're at. It's not like the perfect thing, but here's their initial reaction. And they just come forward with that. And the second thing, I'm always impressed when people use structure. For example, they say, three things come to mind right in the moment, and they're able to 1, 2, 3. And it's so easy to follow. And it always gives me the impression of like, wow, confident, concise. And the cool thing is it's so easy to use structure. So that's something that I'm a big fan of. And I always teach a structure because I think sometimes, anybody, not necessarily new grads, but it could be anyone in their career, they feel like maybe they should have all the answers and they should know it. And that by asking their boss, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or have you encountered this before? What would you do if you were me? That's showing weakness, but actually research shows that it makes you look smarter because you're asking for their advice. So people like that.
Yeah. Oh my God, 100%. I coach a lot of women, and one of the questions I get the most is, what do I say if I don't know the answer? And I'm like, you just say like, well, I don't know the answer. And like, what I do know is this. And like, do you know the answer, or who knows the answer? I think it says a lot about culture that we think that we have to put on this show to, be someone we're not, or know more than we do, so that, I don't know, we're not fired or whatever we think the repercussions of that are going to be. And there's such a struggle around that, especially for young people.
And if you think about it now, it really ties back to authenticity of, if you have the confidence to say, I'm needing some help with this, or actually don't know, but here's what I do know, so having those, a lot of what we're doing is teaching those phrases, like kind of back when we taught English as a second language, you have these phrases. And I really like those because I think if you have that to get you started, then you can kind of go from there. But sometimes in the moment, I certainly know this as someone who gets nervous in the moment, I freeze, and sometimes I just can't think. But if I have a phrase, these phrases for these different situations, it helps me move forward. And then I can think once I get going.